Hey, Christine here. And I just wanted to say if butternut squash pasta or a gorgeous turkey hominy chili or even Italian turkey sausage skillet pasta sound good to you, well, you should be checking out Menopause meal plans. Not only is each meal really made just for you to help alleviate some symptoms of menopause, but it's pretty darn tasty too. So if you get a chance, I've got a link in the show notes. Go ahead and check that out. And now it's time for the show.
Welcome to the Empty Nest Kitchen, where we're finding fun in the kitchen now that the kids have flown the coop. I'm Christine Van Bloom, a cooking teacher with over 25 years of experience, here to show you tips, tricks, and joy in your kitchen, all while trying something new. Let's get cooking.
Well, hey there, and as always, happy day. I am talking with one of truly just my favorite zippy ladies that I love. Welcome to Mindy Cawley from Vintage MC. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Chris. I'm excited to chat with you today.
Oh my gosh, Mindy, I have to say that talking to you is just so exciting for me because I just think the sun rises and sets here on you because Mindy is the neatest. She has a vintage shop here in the town that I live in, Frederick, Maryland, Vintage MC. And can I tell you how long it took me to figure out that Vintage MC stands for both mid-century and Mindy Cawley?
Very convenient, right?
So, tell me a little about what you do.
Well, first of all, I have the same response when you invited me. I was like, Chris asked me to be on it.
Oh, stop.
So excited. I felt like
Stop.
died. So I'm excited too. So I own, as you said, a vintage shop in downtown Frederick. We primarily focus on mid-century modern furniture, authentic mid-century modern furniture. But we have expanded. We moved into this bigger space going on 4 years ago now. And in the bigger space, we've expanded to some new offerings that kind of are retro or mid-century themed, like mugs, housewares, gift things. We still are primarily furniture, but we do have those things. And then we also have vintage clothing now. So we've kind of grown the brand to accommodate more customers because we have so much more foot traffic where we are in downtown. But our bread and butter is still our vintage, authentic vintage mid-century modern furniture that we buy in the area. We also import from Denmark, and we do a lot of refinishing and restoration. So what people see in the store is pretty much almost looks like the day it came off probably not the assembly line, out of the wood workshop. We try to bring things back to their original condition and offer them for sale for people who love mid-century.
And I just love it. I love coming in your shop. What time period is mid-century?
So it's primarily 1950s and 60s. We have branched out a little later beyond that because as trends evolve, people are getting into 70s and, the 90s is now vintage, which is super alarming.
Stop.
Everybody
No, it's not.
of my age.
No.
I mean, honestly, 20 years is vintage. So like 2000 is now vintage. That's super alarming. But our furniture design is definitely 50s, 60s, but we do branch into some of that kind of boho, hippie, chic 70s. And then we have disco, which really actually disco balls came out in the 40s, but they had a big resurgence during, of course, the 70s disco era. So we have that vibe going too.
That is so funny. Yeah, I love that furniture. It's beautiful. The things that you have are totally beautiful. And I do love, you catch a theme. Like you are so quick on things. It's something that I just really admire. You did those, because I don't know if I would say we're in a tourist town. I don't think we are.
It's getting to be, I feel like.
We get some tourist traffic. But you did those cool like motel keychains.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? And you did some of those, you guys know the kind we're talking about. They're like the plastic, they're almost like a rounded diamond.
What you got at motels in the 70s to the 2000s, 90s at least, like the roadside motel keychains. That's what they remind me of. Yeah.
It made me think of Vegas.
Yeah.
Have I ever been to Vegas? No. No, but
They're my
totally.
They remind me of those, like the Barbara Fritchie Motel used to look like these roadside hotels that are made
Yeah.
13 rooms that you drive right up to, and you got this key on this giant keychain. That's what they remind me of. But yeah, they've been really popular, and they have like the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, and the Bates Motel, and just different themes. And they've been really popular. We've had those for, gosh, probably 3 years now.
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
we were kind of ahead of the trend on several, like the disco balls. We started doing disco balls, well, 5 years
Oh my gosh.
before I even moved. I had disco balls at the old
Yeah.
shop that we decorated with, but we added them to sell about 3 years ago. And then a year or two later, then Target has them, and everybody has them. So mushrooms, we did mushrooms before they exploded. So I try to stay ahead of the trends. And honestly, um, pre-empty nest, it was easier because I had teenagers and young adult kids who I would hear what they were talking about or what their friends were talking about. So I feel like that was a little bit of a cheat, and now I'm kind of on my own.
I mean, you're still tight with your kids.
For sure, yeah, yeah. I just don't see them every day to, like, overhear the conversation.
Right.
What's Maggie wearing today? Like, she has the duck charms on her glasses. That's a new trend. Heard it here first. Like granny
Okay.
eyeglass chains,
Yeah.
and she has those, but then she has charms that hang from the front, and she has like duckies, and she has geese and little jewel. And she gets comments everywhere she goes with those, and I'm like, "I probably need to carry those in the store because it's gonna be a thing. Because
Get on it.
yeah, I'm telling you, and geese. She saw the goose trend before I did. You know the '80s and '90s geese, like kitchen geese?
Yeah.
Canisters with them on, and
Yes. Yeah.
that's a big thing now, and she was ahead of that by, like, a year. She started buying every goose thing she saw when we were out, picking together, and I'm like, nobody's gonna buy these. They're too recent, and they're geese, and I can't keep them in the store now. So
Isn't that so funny?
eyeglass charms and geese.
Eyeglass charms and geese. We have a neighbor a couple houses down that has a goose that I mean, we've been here more than 20 years, that she has all of the costumes for, like it's on her front porch.
Yep.
And I had never seen that before. And she has everything. I mean, bless her heart. She has everything. And I get such a charge out of it.
Hilarious. Yeah.
I think I've hit the phase of my life where nothing is stupid anymore. Like, I think if I was 30 and I was jaded because I was super jaded, I'd be like, oh, my. And now, like, the greatest. It's not much. I'm leading with love and everything.
Yes, I love that. And you know what? I feel like a lot of people in my kids' age, and I think your kids' age too, like in their 20s, are more like that. Like they're not very judgy. They're kind of like whatever brings you joy, you should do or you should have. So like they don't have friends who are like, geese are stupid. Why would you? They're like, that's so cool for you. Like I love your granny energy or whatever it is. So I think that helps like build all these fun trends that I mean they're not millennials. What are they? Gen Z is like
Gen Z,
the
yeah.
charge on that kind of thing. And they're super into vintage, which is great for me too.
So how did you get started in this?
Well, basically, we moved into downtown. We had a farm before this. I don't know if you knew that about me.
I do know
that. Okay. So we moved into Frederick, 12 years ago, 13 from out in the county into town. And we rented a little house, over by Mount Olivet Cemetery that was like a 1940s post-war little rancher. And I went looking for furniture and decided to go mid-century because that was the era of the house. And I couldn't find anything here in Frederick. And we ended up going to DC and College Park and shops down there to find things. And my friends here were like, "Ooh, I like that dresser you got. If you see another one, let me know." Or I like that lamp. Where did you find that mid-century lamp? So I sort of saw that was popular in DC and super popular in New York at the time. This was like 2011, 12. So I thought, maybe there's a market here. My kids were starting to get to the age where they were independent. So I rented a booth at an antique store here and just to kind of test the waters. And it went like, there was nobody in the mall, nobody doing mid-century modern. It was all, farmhouse or true antique. And I came in with mid-century and they looked kind of, side eye at me like, I don't think that's going to do well. And it did great pretty much from the get-go. So it just kind of built from there when I saw there was definitely a desire for it here and people would travel to find it here too. So it just kind of went, I started in one mall, moved to Cannon Hill after that, had several booths there, and then opened our first shop on Carroll Street in 2017.
That's so cool. So it was not really a plan. You just kind of fell into it, right?
Yeah, and I homeschooled my kids, and so my youngest was 9 at the time when we moved here into town. So I was kind of like ready to figure out what I was going to be when I grew up.
And
Like I had done book editing while they were younger and things that I could do from home, and some marketing for people, but this really sparked my creativity, and I've always loved vintage everything. I've always loved going. We used to go to auctions when we had the farm to buy equipment or whatever. So auctions were definitely, in my blood. So when this sort of was coming together, I was like, oh, I get to shop all the time at auctions and have furniture. Yeah. Yes, please. So it just kind of started as a side gig for me while I was still parenting and all those things, and just grew from there. But it was at a time where I was looking for something that I could start doing part-time and eventually, do as more of a full-time job. And it just it all came together pretty well in my life plan, I guess, to
about forever. I love, you have great social media.
Thank you.
And I love to follow your social media. And some of my favorites are when you are going picking.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
Yeah.
everybody's favorites. I can make the most beautiful video of a piece of furniture, stunningness and that. And people are like, 20 likes. I mean, a little more than that, but I do one silly 5-second thing of somebody sliding a garage door open with like, what's in here? And I had like 100,000 likes. I'm like, okay, yes, I don't need to spend an hour putting together something pretty because you guys like the down and dirty. Let's see if she gets murdered in this barn video.
I think that's the vibe, though, right? Because it's so authentic. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, seriously, it is a little Silence of the Lambs going.
It is a
into
little
the
bit. Yeah. Well,
units.
it's the mystery of what's going to be in there. Like that's where I do it, right? Because I want to go behind the door and find the great finds. So
Have you ever seen? I'm sure you have. When they have the shows where they like buy the storage unit and they don't have it in it. Obsessed, because I'm always like, oh, it's gonna be another Al Capone's vault. There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
And then, most of the time it is Al Capone's fault and they find nothing in there. But sometimes I'm like, they're not so cool. And usually it's grandma's junk.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got this wonderful shop, and you actually kind of made a bold move because you moved into a downtown area, right? And downtowns can be tricky. But we both are deeply in love with downtown Frederick, and it's ridiculous to be in love with a place. I literally just got back from LA yesterday, and I know people were looking at me because I stepped out, got off the little bus at my car, and it felt all Maryland-y and, temperatures. And LA was super fun, but I was like, oh, Maryland, I'm so happy to be home. He's just looking at me. I'm like, and then you drive into, and anybody who's listening, Frederick, Maryland, this is where we live. And it is I just love it. I love it so much.
It's so special. Like, I really feel like it's
special.
unique. Yeah, I really do feel like it's unique.
It is. And, downtown areas have not, they've not been the same. But you look at a mall nowadays or something like that, and you can see, the name stores are leaving and you're starting to get the one-offs and all of that. And I think there is a real resurgence in downtowns, and you're kind of front and center in all of that.
I think Frederick was a leader in that to a large extent. I mean, it's, the downtown and the resurgence of the shop small and shop local thing. I feel like Frederick was at the forefront in Maryland, at least for that trend, years ago now, we started to get that food scene started coming back here. And we've always had really cool independent retailers, just not as many people knew, and there weren't as many. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very special community here because it is almost all independent retailers. The majority are locally owned. I mean, people live right here in town that own the businesses, a lot of them. Um, we know our customers know us, and there's such support for shopping local in Frederick, even before it was like trendy and the buzzword, post COVID, it had a big resurgence. But even before that, I just felt like the support in Frederick was really unique. And I didn't know that I mean, I'm from Washington County, so I've lived here in the area most of my life, but I never thought about it from owning a business standpoint. We didn't move here to open a business, so it was definitely just worked out so well because when I started looking at opening a brick and mortar and realized how supportive the community was, and we have this great Main Street organization, the Downtown Partnership, which you're very familiar with, does a lot to support local businesses, and to some extent, the government does a lot to support local businesses here. And there's just I didn't realize how unique that was and how fortunate I was to choose this place to open this business. But I don't know that I would have been nearly as successful anywhere else or almost anywhere else. When you're in these downtowns where you're competing with Old Navy and Anthropology, it's really hard to hang in there with that. And it's so special that Frederick doesn't have all those chain stores. It's really unique retail opportunities, and the shopping is so unique here. So people keep coming back.
Yeah, I think these Main Street programs, and I mean, you mentioned Downtown Frederick Partnership, and I worked there for just a year and a half. I was only there that long, but I've been familiar with them for ever, right? And I have lived in the downtown area since 97. And I have watched it just grow and grow and grow. And I love the growth. But one of the things that happens with these Main Street programs that I think is so good is they are conduits for lots of grants for small businesses, right? For different things. And a lot of them are matching grants, but there are so many different programs that anybody who's listening that this is interesting to them, definitely check and see if you have a Main Street program, because we gave so many grants that weren't directly coming from us, but we were facilitating. And that was not my end of things. Marketing all day, baby. But watching them come up with, mission interior grants where you could get, I mean, gosh, I watch people get so much money to fix, to put sprinklers in an old building or
Which
things
is
like
so
that.
important in this kind of town to have that. Yeah,
Yes.
we used the facade grant for both locations, and it was something we had to we had to put signs up. We couldn't not have signs. So, it wasn't like I went looking for something to spend grant money on. I had to do this thing, and then they matched half, so it cut my cost in half. And
Yeah.
and the city's doing one right now that we did apply for. We'll see if we hear back, but growth money basically for existing businesses to grow, and those kind of things do come up fairly regularly here. And another huge part was during COVID. The Main
Oh,
Street
yeah.
program, the Downtown Partnership, did so much to find opportunities, to financially assist the small businesses so that we could stay open, or stay oh, prepared enough to reopen when the time came. And I don't know that we would have made it through without that. And I think that's the case for a lot of businesses here in Frederick that really survived thanks to all that support. And I know I have friends in other areas that own small businesses at the time, and so a lot of them had a much harder time getting assistance, and some of them didn't make it through. So I think that's a huge benefit. Again, that whole support of local businesses that is so special here.
Yeah. I think, and anybody who's interested, just, it's literally called a Main Street program.
Yeah.
And the organizations, I mean, Frederick is so lucky because ours is really administered by Downtown Frederick Partnership that has 4 employees. And that's crazy unusual. That's a lot. A lot of times these are one woman, one man shows that are working with your local government, that are working with local merchants and all of that. But the Main Street organization is a national organization, and it's really great. It's just such a mission that I think we can totally
Absolutely.
get behind it. Like there's no reason to not get behind it.
Right, right.
For the
And
organization.
the other places to look for people that are thinking about starting a small business in a town like this is
Yeah.
the small business SBA, Small Business Administration, and the town's economic development office. Some of them are better than others. We've been toying with the idea of another location. We went into a few offices in other towns, and they're like, "You want what? Like, do you
Yeah.
have an economic development?" They're like, "An economic what now?" Like,
Yeah. And ours here, because we have one specifically for the city and one specifically for the county.
right.
And again, just extraordinary. I don't know. It's such a love letter. It was so hard when I left that job because I'm just such a huge fan of it. These are
Right.
things that as a layperson, I didn't know this stuff existed. And I had a fellow who worked with me when I started my first business, or I guess my second, when I started the kitchen studio cooking school. And he helped me did he help me get 2 grants, I think? And one grant was playing that I was just starting, and the other was playing that had been established because both things were true because I had the other
Right.
business.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was, I think it was a $5,000 grant for one thing. It
Which
built
is a
my
lot of
website.
money to a small business when you're starting up. Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
incredible. It was, just so incredibly lucky. It was a wonderful program. And stuff like that exists everywhere.
Right, right. Yeah. Do the research, find the opportunities because they're out there for sure.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So I want to go back to our trends. I know that eyeglass charms and the idea, because I am blind as a bat without
Yeah,
my
yeah.
glasses.
Yeah.
Um, the idea of something hanging from my glasses and like moving, I'm going to
Yeah.
constantly think I'm under assault. Right.
That's
But
what
I'm
I'm
always,
still getting used to. I haven't tried them, but they seem to. I guess they're sort of like dangly earrings, the same idea. They kind of hang down to like your chin level or so. So
yeah, that far.
yeah, they're long. Yeah, yeah.
This may be for younger people because I'm telling you right now, I'm going to get whacked with charms. I'm going to end up eating a duck. Something's going to happen. And the geese. What else is on it? Like, what else is on the forecast? His holidays are coming up.
Well, here's holidays. Pink. It's going to be a pink Christmas. Like
Oh,
all shades of pink, but that bubblegum pink, and then candy, like gingerbread house, but on steroids, or like the Candyland game, like houses that look like the witch from Hansel and Gretel,
oh,
like that. Those kind of over the top gingerbread houses with pink and lavender and blue, like
this is the thing.
like baked good, kind of like you want to bite right into the house. That and
Oh,
nutcrackers that also have that look of like candy, baked good, not cartoonish exactly, but they look like they're right out of Candyland. Pink,
isn't that funny?
pink and candy is big this year.
Wow. I'm
We're
trying to
doing
think.
it. We're doing it. We're gonna do a crazy store. Our Christmas decor is gonna be off the chain, I don't think they say that. Off the look. I don't know.
No,
But
they
we
don't.
have some
They don't
big.
say
We
that.
have some big plans for that. So coming soon. Working on getting.
So let me bring this up because this is something I saw on your social the other day. And I was like, my goodness, they're so smart because we have this very cool thing. And again, visit Frederick, Maryland. It's amazing. There's so much cool stuff. But one of the things we have is kind of this canal that runs through the middle of town. Excuse me. And during the summer, they fill it now we have a nonprofit that fills it with all of these plants, right? Like the big water lilies. And it's just beautiful. It's a really beautiful thing. It makes use of it. There are restaurants down there. But in the winter, what do?
So in the winter, the same organization, in order to raise funds to pay for all the summer flowers, they do a thing called Sailing Through the Winter Solstice. And they have, I think this year it's going to be 26 boats that get put in the creek from November to March. And they're all decorated in a different theme. And each boat is put on by whatever organization we're sponsoring one this year. And they are to benefit a charity. So you get donations to your boat for your charity, and they're all lit up at night, so they're beautiful at night, but they're also decorated in different really cute ways during the day. And they run the whole length of the creek, the main park that goes through downtown, the linear park, which has the creek in it. It's probably the equivalent of what, maybe 3 or 4 city blocks probably of
Yeah,
both.
it's something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So they're going in the end of November, and then they'll be there throughout the winter. And we get huge crowds that come,
Huge.
especially at night, 'cause they're just beautiful lit up. They're all very focused on brick. The whole theme was like bringing light to kind of summer or the winter solstice when it's the shortest days of the year and it's dark earlier, and it's bringing this light to the creek for people to come and visit. And they're absolutely gorgeous, and it has grown every year and has turned into a
Every year.
huge thing. People come from all over to visit and spend time there. And so we were fortunate enough to get a spot last year, and we did a boat called the Dancing Queen, which
Disco balls.
disco ball and dogs. Our charity is a dog rescue. So dogs and disco balls is the theme, and we're sticking with that. But it is the Dancing Queen 2.0 this year because we upsized to a bigger boat. We're going to need a bigger boat. Okay. We're working on the Dancing Queen 2.0. It's again going to be disco and dogs, but just bigger and more dogs, and cats too. So that's happening. We're in the middle of getting ready for the holidays. I'm doing 2 vintage markets like a crazy person that I don't normally do, but I'm doing those and then getting this boat set up in the next month. So to
So
say
much fun.
busy is an understatement.
One of the things that, I was super happy you could carve pineapple. Of course,
Right.
Pete
Yeah.
does figured out. But one of the things that I thought is very clever is you're actually hustling. And this is why I love small business owners, because we hustle nonstop. It is a nonstop. And I say hustle as a term of reverence and appreciation, not as a bad thing, because I appreciate the hustle. So you are already hustling for donations. And is it $200? Somebody can send in their pet.
Yeah,
They can send in a picture of their pet. It's just an outline.
correct.
It's
There's
not the whole
silhouette. You just
thing.
can light the boat from the inside, so they'll
Yeah.
lit so you see the cutout, and it'll have their name on the window too. But I think we are sold out. I think all the windows.
You know what that means.
We had 16 windows, and they're all spoken for. I believe
You know what that means.
we are going to be
Next-
first when the
Next
fundraising.
year, $500. You did not charge enough.
I know, probably not, but it's just our jumping off point, and but yeah, probably we'll have to bump it up a little next year. We might offer a few well, they're not really 3-dimensional; they're 2-dimensional. But we have dogs on the roof that are like dancing, so we may, if I can get them done, we may offer that as if there are more people that want their pet that can be like a cutout of them dancing on the.
Oh, and that should be a little pricier.
Maybe so, maybe so.
I got back from LA yesterday. Like, Sleep and I are not, we don't quite understand each other yet.
Right.
But one of the things that I saw on a billboard, because every billboard is either for, my sister-in-law planned this out, something in entertainment or car accidents. Because, we saw a car accident when we were there. We heard a huge crash behind us, and we're like, okay, all right. But there was a billboard, a gigantic billboard for Abbott Elementary, which I love, but it was 3D, and they had more than life size. I took 4 pictures of it at different times because I thought it was so cool. They had more than life size renderings of the people. Think about claymation, but super sized.
Wow.
Of the main characters going across. I'll have to show it to you. It was so neat. I've never seen anything like that. I just thought it was the coolest thing. That's what you need. And
Billboard.
Hollywood budget.
Oh, on the boat. Yeah, that would. Well, so we like to build up we like to add something every year, so we'll file that away for
independence. Once you get the boat, you've got the boat. Can you
Exactly.
let it go?
This as long as you've raised enough funds. So they
Oh.
bottom 5 can get bumped if somebody wants a spot. Is kind of how they do it, but you do have, I think, a 3-year. You're safe for, I think, at least the first 3 years to give you a chance to figure out how things work and everything. But
That's
generally,
very
as long
clever.
as you participate and you're, you're out there trying and working at it, they're going to definitely invite you back. So we have at least one more year, but I think, we're pretty safe, I think, because we do a lot with the fundraising. My daughter, Katie, is big into this too. And her dog also came from the same rescue. So she's very motivated to raise funds for Operation Pause for Homes as well. And she's a social media genius, if I do say so. And
So good.
she's great about helping with the fundraising
Yeah.
too. It's
Yeah.
really something we love to partake in and give back to the community, but it's in a super fun way. So it doesn't feel like giving back. It feels like I'm getting more out of it than I'm giving back. But we really enjoy doing it. So yeah, we have a lot of ideas like with what do you call it? Raspberry Pi, where you can do stuff from your phone and make things move. And I'm like, maybe one year we can have an app and all kinds of crazy ideas.
I know what that is.
Well, I was just like where you can interact with something over your phone, right? But
Oh my gosh.
well, I'll have to find a programmer maybe for next year, but that's not this year.
I love it. Do you think that doing things like this, because this is totally like it's out of pocket expense for you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It
So
is. It's not cheap.
it's
build a
not
boat.
cheap. And you guys, your family, I have met every member of your immediate family.
Yeah,
And this is not an immediate family with small ideas.
very true. Very true.
Yeah.
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 Sometimes
So
also not a lot of common sense when it comes to choosing.
wow. That's the most fun thing ever.
Right. Right.
Please. I can't imagine like being able to just be so creative all the time.
Well, I think you can because you are very creative. So I don't think that's true. But yeah, sometimes when three or four of us get together with ideas, it can get a little bit. We encourage each other to make maybe not the best decision about
Well, see,
on, but
I'm married to a realist. So it is like I'm creative, but then it's tempered by realism. And I think that
we don't have a lot of realism here.
you don't.
Yeah, no, we don't.
It's amazing. Do you think that doing projects like this, do you think it keeps everything fresh for you? Because it's like something, I know that you do a ton of stuff, right? I know you do markets in addition to having your space is big. It's a big space.
Yeah.
And you've got some employees and you've got, all of that stuff going on. But can you like really sink your teeth into a project like this?
For sure. I mean, especially when it's something new. Like it's probably a little bit of ADHD going on there. I'm really good at it. I'm really, really good at starting projects. It's probably my number one skill. Finishing projects, not so much, and that has been a lifelong. I I do still weave and spin and spin yarn and then weave, and I have a ridiculous amount of fiber and yarn that I haven't touched in 4 years because I started it and I gathered all this stuff and it's still sitting there. So really good at starting projects. But when it's for your business and like there's money on the line, it does motivate you to actually complete them. So that
It does.
but it does. I think it does keep it fresh. It gets you when you're getting a little tired and it's getting a little monotonous. And then you throw in, hey, let's build a houseboat with dogs on it. It
Yeah.
back in the action again. So it's definitely fun. But I'm getting to the point. This empty nest conversation that we've had of where you keep finding new projects, but you have to keep the other things going at the same time and like balancing that out and getting to the stage of your life where the business is still like you still have room to do these fun and new things, but you have all this to support in the back that kept it going this long, like kind of the basics, so to speak, and finding the balance there of keeping those things going, but still keeping it fresh for yourself is a challenge. But it definitely we're not very good at saying no to things. So when an opportunity we generally like, okay, we'll figure it out.
I love that. I love that it's a family affair. To me, I think that is something that's also really special because empty, you don't have anybody living at home with you right now. I mean, your husband,
Yeah.
and your 47 dogs, but it's like
You only have two.
it's such and they're sweet. I love them both. It's such an interesting phase, right? Because you go through, especially as a small business owner, I think, because you go through all of this time where you throw all your energy into family. And as a homeschool mom, I am for sure, that you were 1,000% in on that.
Yeah.
And then you have the business. So, I mean, we're birds of a feather. You want to make sure everybody coming in is finding the right stuff, having a great experience. Like it's always, we have super high standards, right? Super,
Right.
super high.
Because it's your name on the lease.
Did
you have to sign
on the business.
Did you have to sign, when you signed a lease, did you have to put your house on the line?
I had to give a personal guarantee, like not specifically my house, but
Yeah.
but only for like 6 months. Like I would have had to give them 6 months rent if I broke the lease or something like
Oh, no. My lease was basically like, here you go. And I
Yeah.
think I was there for, I don't know, I think I was there like 11 or 12 years. And I said, can we take that off of there?
I did put that into mine that when it once I think it was only for 3 or 4 years that what because I'm like, I don't want 10 years from now to say, okay, I'm moving out next month or in 6 months. And then you go, well, you need another 6. So yeah, it was not for the life of the loan. But the scariest part was, in commercial leases, they put the whole year's rent. That
It's
on mine
it's
with the first
frightening.
year. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, that is so much money.
It's so much money.
Yeah, that was my first experience with that because my first lease was not like that. And this one, I was like,
Well, look, yeah, I'll tell you what, I don't think I'll ever have a commercial lease again. I mean, never say never, knock wood, but it's certainly not my intention right now. But that stuff, you have got to have somebody that knows what they're doing help you out there. It is really important if you're a newbie, and you could be super smart. I mean, Mindy and I are super smart and very good looking, but it's such a different beast. I think it's really important.
and it's so, you're putting so much on the line, and some of it you might not even realize you're putting on the line if you don't through everything and have somebody look it over it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We could do a thing on how to start your business and look at your darn lease.
There you go.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. Well, I want to go back and then you can tell me, how has your life changed personally, not professionally, since you became an empty nester?
Well, my house is a lot quieter.
Do you like it or do you not like it?
I'm getting used to it now. So at first it felt so my youngest left for college in the end of August, and the other two have been out for a couple of years. So that was that was the hardest. Her leaving was harder than the other two, I feel like, just because it felt like such the end,
Yeah.
So those first few weeks, and still sometimes now, like we get home and do our, have dinner or whatever, and then it's like, well, here we are. Just I think it's you and me, honey, for the next however many decades. This is still on. And my daughter's cat who still lives here. But no, it's been. I mean, my kids were pretty independent for several years, so we weren't doing a ton of kid-centric things for the last 3 or 4 years, I would say. When I started in the new store was about when they were all driving by then and, doing their own thing. So my schedule didn't change a whole lot, but just the energy in the house is different. And I didn't love it at first. It felt lonely and quiet, but now I'm kind of enjoying it. And when they are here, it gets loud again, and
I like it, but then I kind of like when they get my kids, I think they're going to be in their 50s and they're still going to be wrestling. And as a boy and a girl, and I love them so much. But I'm just like, hold on. Yeah, my son is trying to flip my daughter, and I mean, it's constant. And I love it. Like, I love the noise.
Yeah.
But then they pull out of the driveway. We always go stand on the front porch and wave. And then my husband and I usually look at each other and go, oh, because we love having them here.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's funny. I remember my mother-in-law would come visit and she would be like, I'm not saying hold it down. And she went upstairs. And she was a very proper woman,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, the kids, is it really that big a deal? And I'm like, God bless her that she even came down here.
Yeah. When you're
Because
out of practice, it's a lot to get, and you've met my family. I'm the shortest person in the family, and
you are.
5'6". I'm probably 5'5" now. I'm shrinking, right? But my son is 6'4". So, and our house is not big. We live in a downtown Frederick.
Yeah, it's great. I love your house. Your house
So
is so
when all
cool.
5 of us are in a room, it's a lot of people. And they all towering over me, and they're all, and we're bumping into each other. And so it definitely feels like a crowd when everybody's home, especially now that I'm used to just the 2 of us taking.
Yeah.
When all 5 are here to take up space, plus an extra dog, and because Kate will bring her dog, so then we do have 3 dogs. But I love it.
Yeah.
But I don't mind the quiet, like I thought I would. It was a fairly quick adjustment. I tell you what I miss the most, though, not really the most. That's not true. I shouldn't even joke. But I would lean on them some for the business, and like, I'm
Of course, yeah.
we're doing this market in a couple weeks, and I'm short, and I'm like, Maggie, we're still living at home. I'm working.
Yeah. My whole family had to wash dishes. They had to wash dishes. And then my daughter's like,
Yeah.
so, are we getting paid for that? And I was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Well,
eventually they were on to me, and I did have to pay them.
yeah, eventually it just happens. Yeah, I totally hear you. That's so great. All right. So the whole idea of the podcast is that I'm sitting in the kitchen across my kitchen table, right? Because I'm empty nest kitchen and all that. So tell me, because I had done a class with you and your family, and we had so much fun. It was a great time.
Much fun. It was terrific.
Oh,
That was the best. I did it for Jim's birthday, I think, right? Because
it was at Christmas.
and his birthday's the 23rd. I think it was his birthday.
It was full on the 23rd.
It was for his birthday.
Yeah.
That was one of the best birthday presents we ever got him, because it was such a fun day. We had so much fun. Everybody enjoyed it. And then we had amazing food to eat. Like, it was the best. I was so glad we did it. It was wonderful. So
I wasn't even fishing for. I'll take
you know what? I still have your baking pan in my kitchen, by the way.
All about and I got a million of them. I will say this, I am really good at what I do, just like you are. Like, you're so good at what you do. And when you get into a kitchen, because I don't do a ton of on-site classes anymore, right? Because I'm tired. It's a lot of schlepping, but you live half a mile from me, so it was easy, and your family's so nice and, helpful and all of that. But when you get in there and you are part of a family thing and you're doing that, it is just so much fun. It is it's such a treat to be in on that, to be in on this really special occasion. And sometimes you have to walk a line between how involved you're going to be and, because you want to be super respectful of what they're looking for. And your family was just so welcoming that it was just a great time. You know what I mean?
It was so fun. So
It was. All right. So tell me, if you're going out to dinner, what are you eating?
oh gosh.
And I can make it general and say what type of food.
I mean, we love pretty much everything. So, Irish pub food, Bushwallers. Shout out to Bushwallers in Frederick. We're there.
Shout out.
Once we go every Monday for trivia, and their food is. It's don't tell everybody, because then it'll be. But they are like the
But
best.
I love Irish pub food.
And they are really good. It's good pub food. Sort of elevated, but not. It's not like bougie. Like,
No.
they make their own dressings from scratch. And
Yeah, that's unusual.
their ranch dressing is the bomb. It's so good.
I get the bangers and mash.
Yeah,
Bangers and mash every time.
So that's a pretty regular standby for us. We like Cuban. We love the Cuban restaurant downtown. I love sushi, but Jim doesn't. So when the kids come home, we go for sushi, because then I have somebody who will eat sushi for me. But we're pretty big fans of almost any kind of food. So it's hard to pick a favorite, because we love it all.
I love to hear it. And I love you. I'm so grateful because I know you're going into this busy holiday season, Halloween's coming, all the good stuff. So, Mindy at Vintage MC in downtown Frederick, Maryland, if anybody wants to find you, where can they find you?
So the easiest thing is to go to my website, which is vintage-mc.com, and all my social media links are on there. Follow me on Instagram. That's where kind of the the biggest, the most kind of news goes there, and you'll see new things when they're coming in, activities when it's happening. And then we are located right on Patrick Street, 24 East Patrick Street, in the main block there of downtown Frederick, right in front of the parking garage. So just park in the Carroll Street or the Carroll Creek parking garage, and you're right behind my store when you come out. So
Love that.
open every day, 7 days a week.
All the time. All the time. Well, and I'm going to link to all of Mindy's awesome stuff in the show notes. And when I post this on social, I'll link to it there. So you guys will be able to easily find Mindy and the shop. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was terrific. It was so fun to catch up with you, and great chat. And I appreciate it.
It's easy to do, right?
It was fun. Painless. Absolutely painless.
Absolutely painless. And all of you cool empty nest ladies out there, I'm always looking for you to come. It is painless and wonderful, and delighted to have you. So, Mindy, thank you so much. And everyone else, as always, I will see you in the kitchen.